Hello and welcome to Pokemon Lair. I'm TD and today we'll be unboxing a box of 10 Pokemon cards I sent to PSA over a year ago, and I just got them back and they come in this nice little box, professionally packaged so they don't get damaged. Let's get them out of this box and see what grades I got. We are looking at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Sandslash, the first edition, the number 41 card. Looking at Sandslash here, the surface looks really good. I don't see any problems on the front of this card. Looking at our borders on our edges and our corners, I don't see any damage to them. And looking at our centering, I think our centering is with a tolerance on the front of this card. Looking at the back of this card, you can see that the surface looks really clean. No blemishes, no damage, no creases or bends. Our centering, I think, is within tolerance, especially from in the back tolerance. And looking at our corners and our edges, I think the only thing I see is there's some damage on the lower right corner. And that's going to give us a grade of 9. That's pretty good. I like that. I like 9s all the time. On the spot is the card 1999 Pokemon Fossil, a Seadra, the first edition, the number 42 card. Seadra looks really good. I don't see any issues with the front surface. There's no damage that I can find. Our centering, I think, is within tolerance. It looks pretty good. Our edges on our corners, I think, are very, very nice. As we turn this card over and look at the back, I don't see any problems going on here. Our surface looks really good. Our centering, I think, is great for most backs. And looking at our corners and our edges, I don't see any damage. I bet you this is going to be a 10. And our grade is going to be a Gym Mint 10. This is a very good card. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Slowbro, the first edition, number 43 card. Slowbro here looks really good. I sort of like this card, the graphics on it. Looking at our centering, I think our centering is within tolerance. Might be out of tolerance towards the top, actually. But looking at our corners and our edges, I think they're really nice. And taking a look at the back of this card, I don't see any damage to the surface. Our centering looks way within tolerance for the back of the card. And looking at our corners and our edges, I don't see any damage there. Could this be another 10? Our grade is going to be a Mint 9. That tolerance on the centering on the fronts must be out of tolerance. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Tentacruel, a first edition number 44 card. The front surface of this card is perfectly clean. Our centering, I think, is really nice on the front of this card. Looking at our edges and our corners, I don't see any damage or any fraying or anything like that. Looking at the back of the card, you can see that the front surface, the surface of this card looks really good. I don't see any problems there. Looking at our centering, I think it looks really good. And taking a close look at our corners and our edges, I don't see anything wrong there. And that's going to give us a grade of Gym Mint 10. I like 10s. I wish they'd give them to me all day long. Let's look at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Weezing, a first edition, the number 45 card. This Weezing looks really clean. I don't see any dirt, damage, or creases or anything like that on the surface. Our centering, I think, is within tolerance on the front, from side to side and top to bottom. And our edges and our corners are nice and clean. As we look at the back of the card, I don't see any problems with the surface of the card. It looks as good as the front. And speaking of as good as the front, our centering, I think, is within tolerance. And looking at our corners and our edges, wow, it looks really nice. And that's going to give us a grade of Gym Mint 10 for old Weezing. I'll take those. I'll take them. Take them. I am looking at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Ekans, a first edition number 46 card. Looking at Ekans here, our front surface is very clean. Our centering looks a little to the left, but might be within tolerance. But it looks good from top to bottom. Our corners and our edges, I think, are very clean and have no damage. As always, we look at the back of the card, and you can see that it looks really good. Looking at the surface, it looks nice and clean. Our centering, I think, is a little towards the right. It's probably within tolerance for the back. Looking at our corners and our edges, there's some slight damage to the upper right corner, and I think that will affect our grade. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. So either the centering being off on the front or that speck on the right upper corner took us out of grade 10. The card is a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Geodude, a first edition number 47 card. Looking at the front surface of this card, I see no damage, no dirt, or any problems with the front surface. Looking at our corners and our edges on the front, I think they're really clean. And looking at our centering, it looks pretty good, probably within tolerance. Looking at the back of the card, you can see that the surface looks really clean. I don't see any blemishes or dirt or problems there. Looking at our centering, I think it is slightly towards the left and towards the top, possibly taking us out of tolerance. As we look at our corners and our edges, the upper left and both right corners all have damage, which will definitely affect the grade. And we'll receive a grade of Mint 9 for old Geodude. Man, I'll take those 9s. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Grimer, a first edition, the number 48 card. This card looks really good from the surface point of view. I don't see any damage there. Our centering, I think, is slightly towards the top, possibly taking us out of spec. And our corners and our edges, I think, are really clean and nice. As we take a look at the back, you can see that the surface looks really clean. I don't see any problems or damage on the surface. Our centering is definitely towards the top. It looks better side to side, but definitely towards the top. And looking at our corners and our edges, I don't see any damage. I think the only problem with this card is the centering. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. That's pretty good with the centering problem. Let us look at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Horsea, a first edition, the number 49 card. Looking at the Horsea here, it's a really nice card. I don't see any problems with the surface. Our centering looks really good on this card. I think it's way within tolerance. And looking at our corners and our edges, I don't see any damage. As we look at the back of this card, you can see that the surface is really pretty clean. As we look at our centering, I think it's within spec and tolerance. We look at our corners and our edges. There's slight damage to all four corners and a speck or two on the upper edge. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. Wow, that's better than I expected. As we look at a 1999 Pokemon Fossil Kabuto, a first edition number 50 card. This card front surface is very clean, no damage or creases or bends. Our centering, I think, is way within tolerance, especially from top to bottom and side to side. And looking at our corners and our edges, I think they are very clean. Taking a look at the back of the card, you can see that the surface is nice and clean. I don't see any damage or blemishes or creases or bends. Looking at our centering is to the left, probably out of tolerance. And looking at our corners and our edges, I don't see any damage that I can find. So hopefully we'll get a good grade. And that one is Mint 9. Must be out of the center on that back. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something from the grades that I got. And you can take that to look at your own cards to see if they're worth grading. And remember to subscribe and like. And don't forget, you got to catch them all. Have a great day.